Stravinsky's Rite of Spring hits its opening notes, and within minutes, fists are flying, audiences are screaming, police are standing by. This wasn't just a performance, it was a war, and it was far from the only time. What are the craziest moments in classical music history? The Théâtre des Champs-Élysées is packed wall to wall, ticket prices doubled, every seat claimed by Parisian elites, artists, and thrill seekers. The air is thick with anticipation. Nobody is ready for what's about to happen. Stravinsky's Rite of Spring begins with a high, lonely bassoon. At first, just a few murmurs ripple through the crowd. Then the music twists, rhythms pounding, harmonies clashing, dancers stomping in jagged lines. It sounds like nothing anyone has heard before. Within minutes, whistles and jeers erupt from the balconies. Catcalls rain down. Shouting matches break out between those who defend the new art and those who want it stopped. Fists slam against seats. The orchestra, led by Pierre Monteux, keeps going, fighting to be heard over the chaos. Backstage, Nijinsky stands on a chair, shouting counts in Russian to keep the dancers together, his voice almost drowned by the uproar. Stravinsky, somewhere in the wings, watches his creation ignite a firestorm. According to Le Figaro the next morning, from the first notes, the hall exploded in jeers and whistles. This was not just a concert. Music broke society that night. Before Elvis, there was Liszt. In the 1840s, Franz Liszt stepped onto the stage, and the world lost its mind. Women fought for locks of his hair. Men fainted from excitement. Berlin police begged him to cancel concerts for fear of riots. The press called it Lisztomania. Hysteria swept through Europe like wildfire. Letters from salons told of fans tearing at his gloves, scrambling for broken piano strings as holy relics. The piano was no longer just an instrument, it was a lightning rod, and Liszt was the storm. But that was not the craziest part. Across the continent, another name sent chills down spines: Niccolò Paganini. He played the violin with such speed and fire that people whispered he could not be human. Some swore he had sold his soul to the devil. Paganini's 24 caprices pushed the violin and the audience beyond any known limit. The rumours grew louder. Churchgoers claimed to see horns in his shadow, and critics accused him of witchcraft. Newspapers fueled the fire, reporting crowds so stunned they forgot to applaud or wept openly in their seats. Both men built their fame on myth and mania, decades before pop stars and paparazzi. In the age of Mozart, Beethoven, Liszt, and Paganini, classical music was not calm, it was chaos, obsession, and the birth of celebrity culture. He couldn't hear a single note, but changed music forever. Vienna, May 7th, 1824. Beethoven stands before the orchestra, clutching his battered score, deaf as stone. The Ninth Symphony thunders to its end, voices and instruments fused in a storm of sound. But Beethoven, lost in the music only he can feel, keeps conducting, unaware the hall has erupted. Violinist Joseph Boehm watches as the audience rises in a frenzy. Soprano Caroline Unger steps forward, gently takes Beethoven's arm, and turns him to face the crowd. Only then does he see it, the entire theatre on its feet, tears streaming, handkerchiefs waving, a roar of applause crashing over him. He bows deeply, smiling through his deafness. That night, music history explained itself with a single gesture: genius that defied fate. What if genius isn't learned, but born? 60 years earlier, Europe watched a child do the impossible. Mozart, at age 7, toured palaces and courts from Munich to London, dazzling royalty and skeptics alike. Letters from his father describe Wolfgang playing blindfolded, improvising symphonies on the spot, naming every note pressed by strangers. In Paris, he played for hours without a score. In London, he stunned King George III by composing a new sonata on demand. Audiences whispered about a prodigy not of this world. Mozart's gift wasn't just skill, it was raw, untamed brilliance, the kind that rewrites the rules before anyone knows they've changed. Two geniuses, completely opposite. One fought nature itself, the other seemed to cheat it. Both left the world asking, is genius a miracle or a burden? What happened inside that hall was more than a musical shock, it was a cultural earthquake. The crowd was not just reacting to sound, they were defending a way of life under attack. Stravinsky's Rite of Spring pounded out rhythms that refused to obey tradition, with jagged meters and harmonies that mocked the lush melodies everyone expected. Nijinsky's choreography threw ballet's grace out the window. Dancers stomped, hunched, moved like ancient tribes, earthbound, raw, unsettling. For the Parisian elite in the orchestra seats, this was daring, maybe even thrilling. But up in the balconies, in the cheaper seats filled with students, critics and political agitators, the music felt like an insult. The press had stoked the fire for weeks, splitting into rival camps, one praising the ballet's Russes as visionaries, the other warning of cultural decay. Every ticket was a ticket to a battlefield. Shouts and jeers were not just about the music. They were about who got to decide what counted as art. That night, the concert hall became a war zone for modernism versus tradition, with every outburst echoing far beyond the theatre walls. Art was not just entertainment, it was a proxy for the future of society itself. Some instruments are worth more than mansions. In 2011, the Lady Blunt Stradivarius violin was auctioned for nearly $16 million, more than the price of a Rembrandt, more than a Paris penthouse. Collectors treat these relics like holy grails, insuring them for sums that could bankroll an entire orchestra. The obsession isn't just about sound. It's about status, legacy, and who controls the keys to music's inner sanctum. The world of classical music has always been a battleground for taste and power. In Paris, critics sharpened their pens, drawing lines between the intimate poetry of Chopin and the volcanic showmanship of Liszt. One wrote that Chopin played as if whispering secrets to the moon, while Liszt attacked the piano like a force of nature, delicate fingers versus thunderous fists. These divisions weren't just about music, they were about who belonged and who didn't. Behind the velvet seats and gilded halls, money and opinion collided, turning art into a contest of values. The gatekeepers, the wealthy, the critics, the collectors decided what survived and what vanished. For every fortune spent on a Stradivarius, there was a new round of debate. Is greatness about subtlety, spectacle, or simply who can pay the most? The answer shaped not just careers, but the very idea of what classical music could be. Behind the beauty, there was chaos. Pyotr Ilyich Tchaikovsky wrote music that soared, but inside he was drowning. Letters to his secret patron, Nadezhda von Meck, reveal a man haunted by fear, terrified of scandal, desperate for approval, crushed by the expectations of a society that demanded perfection but punished difference. In 1893, after the premiere of his Sixth Symphony, Tchaikovsky died suddenly in St. Petersburg. Official records list cholera from unboiled water, but rumours have never died. Some whisper suicide, others point to pressure from a court-martial or a hidden scandal. His brother Modest wrote that Pyotr drank knowingly, sealing fate. The truth is still debated, but the toll of genius is clear. Robert Schumann's story is even darker. In February 1854, he walked to the banks of the Rhine and threw himself into the freezing current. Pulled out alive, he spent his last years confined in the asylum at Endenich, his mind unravelling as his wife Clara and friend Brahms watched helplessly. Asylum logs recorded his decline, and critics speculated about madness, syphilis, the price of a mind that burned too brightly. Genius or destruction? For some of the greatest composers ever, the cost of brilliance was paid in suffering. Classical music history is littered with these stories, where the line between creation and collapse grows razor thin. Today, blockbuster composers like Hans Zimmer, Ludovico Einaudi, and Max Richter pull millions into their worlds, not through gilded concert halls, but through film scores and streaming playlists that pulse in headphones everywhere. Zimmer's Inception soundtrack turns dreams into sound, echoing across cinema and TikTok alike. Einaudi's Una Mattina and Richter's recomposed Vivaldi dominate ambient playlists, their melodies drifting from yoga studios to late-night subway rides. These artists have redrawn the boundaries, making classical the secret engine behind viral moments, study sessions, and emotional climaxes on screen. From concert halls to headphones, the story of music history explained itself all over again. Billions of streams. That's not a typo. Classical music racks up numbers that would make a pop star jealous. Ludovico Einaudi pulls in over 12 million Spotify listeners each month, and Hans Zimmer and Max Richter are not far behind. Einaudi's Nuvole Bianche alone has crossed 1.8 billion streams. On YouTube, classical tracks rack up 50 billion views every year. But it is not just about raw numbers. Streaming platforms have become the new gatekeepers, with algorithms like Spotify's BART and YouTube's deep neural networks deciding which composer lands in your headphones. Playlists like Peaceful Piano or Classical Essentials are not just collections, they are engines, pushing Debussy and Zimmer into dorm rooms, gyms, and city streets worldwide. About 40% of classical streams now come from these algorithm-powered playlists, and more than half of all streams are from listeners outside Europe and North America. With each click, the legacy of piano genius Mozart, Beethoven, Liszt gets remixed for a new era. The payout per stream is tiny, just a fraction of a cent, but when the play count hits 100 billion, the classical world cashes in, generating $1.2 billion in annual revenue and a reach far beyond the concert hall. Music history explained itself again, this time by code. Some music pushes beyond human limits. Today's virtuosos still chase that line, facing pieces so brutal they are almost a dare. Liszt's transcendental etudes, especially La Campanella, demand hands of steel and nerves of ice. Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 3. Even seasoned pros call it a marathon, dense, relentless, unforgiving. Then there is Paganini's Caprice No. 24, a violin gauntlet of double stops, flying spiccato, and wild leaps. One modern pianist says that you don't conquer these pieces, they conquer you. Every note is a fight for survival. The spectacle is not just history, it is happening right now, every time a performer steps up to the impossible. Genius or destruction? Even now, music pushes beyond human limits, streamed billions of times, breaking charts and algorithms, not just eardrums. Classical music didn't die, it evolved. The chaos behind the beauty still shapes every viral documentary, every headphone, every heart. What story will the next note write? Drop your thoughts below.